Hello everybody, Mr. Taylor. I want to talk to you about the other part of inequalities in rational numbers. This time, modeling these inequalities that involve decimals. Our learning objective is students will learn how to solve inequalities with decimal coefficient and constants to represent real-world problems. These vocabularies by now, and I know that they are repetitive, but it's very important that you understand what a coefficient is, and that's the number that is multiplied by the variable in an algebraic equation. A constant, and that's the number that does not change, which means it is not multiplied by anything. And an inequality is a mathematical sentence that shows the relationship between quantities that are not equal. Well, we've been modeling these decimals and these fractions and integers, but it's a special concept we use with fractions and decimals when we're solving equations or inequalities. We try to find the LCM with fractions to clear, and that way you're using integers, and I mean you really your chances of error is diminished quite a bit. Well, as you have seen with equations, you can do actually the same thing with inequalities. So anytime you get an inequality that has a decimal, you need to look at the actual decimal and see what is its greatest place value, and that's what you're going to multiply by in order to change that decimal into an integer, whether it's a whole number or a negative number. So it tells us here that to solve an inequality with a variable on both sides that involve decimals, you have to multiply both sides by the power of 10 to eliminate the decimal. Let's go ahead and jump into what the author is telling us for our example. Two water tanks hold 28.62 or 28 and 62 hundredths gallons, and the other tank holds 31 and 2/10 gallons of water. The largest tank is leaking at a rate of 12 hundredths gallons per hour. The smaller tank is leaking at a rate of 8 hundredths gallons per hour. After how many hours will there be less water in the larger tank than in the smaller tank? Well, I tried to be explicit with the pronunciation with the 28.62, which means that this is the hundredths, the 2 is in the hundredths place. 31.2 is in the 10th place, and we look at 0.12, which is again in the hundredths place, and then we're looking at 0.08, which is also in the hundredths place. So if we will look at what we've just created already, we see that we need to look at the power of 10. We're looking at 100 instead of 10. So we've gotten that out of the way. So let's see, can we write the inequalities? So we're looking at two tanks, and it says the first tank holds 28.62 gallons, and then the other tank holds 31.2. So they want us to know when is the larger tank will be less than the smaller tank. So the larger tank has 31.2 gallons, which is what it's telling us here, and it says that it is decreasing, leaking actually at a rate of 0.12. So that will be minus, leaking will be water's coming out, so that'll be subtraction. So that'll be minus 0.128. Now we want to know when it's less than, so our inequality sign will be less than. And the smaller tank starts out with 28.62, and it's leaking or decreasing or subtraction at minus 0.08 gallons per hour. So we've gotten our inequality straight. Now, again, let's go and see, since we went to these power 10s up here, and we see that 100 is the greatest, so we would multiply both sides by, both sides mean every term in each particular sides. So I'm going to multiply this term by 100, I'm going to multiply this term by 100, I'm going to multiply this term and this term. Let me show you up here what I mean. This term by 100, the 0.12 by 100, the 28.62 by 100, and the 0.08 by 100. When we do so, 100 times 31.2 will give us 3,120. So again, no decimal. And then 100 times 0.12 will give us 12. Just move 2 places back with the zeros, move 2 places to the right. And then here, 100 times 28.62, again, move 2 places to the right. That's going to give us 2,862. And here, 100 times 0.08, move 2 places to the right, and that's going to give us 8. So our new inequality says 3,120 minus 12h is less than 2,862 minus 8h. Very friendly numbers to work with. Okay, so let's move on. It says now let's use inverse operation to solve the inequality. So we look at first subtracting, and this is different from what we've done. We could have easily decided to bring the 8 over. We could have easily done that. We could have brought the 8 over and subtract from 12, but the author here says, well, let's show them a different method. So we decide here that we will move the constants first. So we look over here and we see that this is the smallest constant. So let's subtract this 2,862 from both sides. This is going to give me my 0 pair. So, which means that this will become 0, cancel out. And then here I'm going to subtract, and I'm bring down my 12h, and I'm left with 258 minus 12h is less than or minus 8h. Well, let's move the h's to the right side. So I mean, so we will add 12h, since that's the opposite of subtraction. We would add 12h to both sides. That becomes my 0 pair. I'm going to bring down my 258 from this side, and here I'm going to combine a negative h and a positive 12, and that's going to give me a positive 4h. So since this is 4 times h, I've stressed that a lot, 4 times h, the inverse is to divide, so we'll divide both sides. These are my 4's, they cancel out, and I'm left with h is less than 64.5. So after 64.5 hours, there will be less water in the larger tank than in the smaller tank. All right, 2 things I want you to take a look at right quick. And just go ahead and stop the video and see if you can answer question 2 and 3, and then come back and we'll take a look at it. Okay, see if yours compare. Okay, it says reflect in step 2, why do you multiply both sides by 100 rather than 10? Well, what I did is inadvertently put the answer, so I'm going to erase here and then see what the book says. Well, it says multiplying by 100 eliminates the decimals. Multiplying by 10 will result in an inequality that still contains decimals. And you can go back and see that. If we multiplied, let's go back a little bit further. If we multiplied 28.62 by 10, we'll just have 286.2. So we will still have decimals, and this is what we're trying to get rid of the decimals all total. So again, you want to multiply by the largest power of 10 in order to eliminate the decimals. Well, let's come to this bamboo plants. We have plant A and B, and we're trying to determine with plant A and B how many days will plant B be taller than plant A. Well, it says plant A is, what it says, so let's just put A. It says plant A is 1.2 meter to start and is growing at a rate, so growing means plus, at a rate of 0.45 D. And then we have plant B. So B is going to equal to, it is 0.85 meters tall and is growing at a rate of 0.5 meters per day. So after how many days will B be taller? So we're looking at B is greater than A. So saying that, let's go ahead and write our inequality. And my inequality says 0.85 plus 0.5 D is greater than 1.2 plus 0.45 D. So as I look at my place values, I see tenths 1.2, that's the tenths place, and I see 0.45 with 5 in the hundredths place. I see 0.85, 5 in the hundredth place, and 0.5 in the 10. So I'm going to multiply by the power of 10 to the second power, actually, which means 100. So I'm going to try to get all of this on here. So I'm looking at 100 times 85.85, and that means I'm going to move my decimal 2 places. So that's going to give me 85 plus, and then 100 times 0.5. So that means I'll move my decimal 2 places. That's going to give me 50 or 50 D, and that's going to be greater than, again, 1.2 times 100, move my decimal places 2 times. That's going to give me 120 plus, and then 0.45. Let me go ahead and move this decimal over 2 places for us. Get this out of the way. Okay, so this will be, moving my decimal place 2 places, will be 45D. Now, the only thing we have to do now is move our variables on one side and move our constants on one side. So I'm going to subtract 45D. 45D from this side will give me my 0 pair, and I'm left with 120, and it's going to be greater than. So of course here will give me 5D, so that will be 85 plus 5D. Now I'm going to subtract 85 from both sides, and when I subtract 85 from both sides, this will give me my 0 pair, I'm left with 5D is greater than 35. So bringing this up here, so I'll have 5D is greater than 35, and this is 5 times D, so I'm going to I'm going to divide both sides by 5, and that tells me D will be greater than 7. So to answer my question, it says after how many days will plant B be taller than plant A? 7 days. All right.